Thank you for joining. We will wait for another 30 seconds for all participants to log on. Okay, now we'll get started. First of all, thank you for joining this webinar hosted by Wisemen. And my name is Saurabh, and I will be your moderator for today. I want to thank everyone for taking the time to join today's webinar. Right now, I have everyone on mute to avoid background noises that may distract you from listening to the webinar. Throughout the presentation, I'll be managing the chat functionality. If you have any questions, query, please post it on chat and we will take all those questions after the webinar is finished. Now, moving to the next slide. So this will be the flow of the presentation for today. I will be introducing you, all the guests, to the speaker. A brief introduction about what Wisemen is, what do we do, and then I will hand over to the presentation to today's speaker, and he will take you through the topic. Now moving to the next slide, which is introduction to Wisemen. So talking about Wisemen, Wisemen is a Houston, Texas-based organization, IT services company. We are into IT services and staffing. We provide services, so we have 4 locations across the globe, over 600 plus employees working with us globally. We have almost 19 plus years of experience in the industry with 8 plus vertical specialization. To talk about our service offerings, our capabilities, we provide services in the 4 practices. One is the integration platform services, managed services, application services, web technology and services, which is supported by our IT strategy consulting and services. Wisemen is a ISO 27001 certified and a CMMI level 3 organization. Moving to the next slide, which talks about a diversified customer portfolio which we have. This is a partial list. You can see that we have customers from all sizes and all across verticals, and some of them are very big name in the industry, and we have been doing a lot of work in the SAP as well as in the other technologies with all these customers. Moving to the next slide. So before I hand over to our speaker, a little bit about our speaker. For today, the speaker will be Rajendra Punangi. We called him Raj. He is our SAP practice head, an industry leader with over 15 plus years of experience in SAP implementation, support, and delivery. He currently has the SAP practice at Wisemen. He has been working in various verticals. He has the exposure of various verticals like manufacturing, energy and utilities, pharmaceuticals, FMCG, automotive. He has expertise in project support, project delivery, change management, and business process transformation. Now I would request Raj to start the presentation and take us through the SAP suite on HANA. Raj, all yours.
Request the participants to their what makes fundamentally HANA different and why the different customers looking for a shift of a next version and innovation of SAP. Basically, the SAP's innovation with the newer version of HANA is at two different areas. One from an in-memory database, creation of the database which is more working at a memory level. That is different requirements, whatever is required. Let's say if it is an OLAP, OLTP to get the join in one specific box and working most of the transactions for a quick delivery output, what most of us look for a quick information on the screen that is happening in memory and then giving as an output. And then from an user interface perspective, rather than just as an available old age, as you can see depicted, which is SAP is changing, just the normal formal users which were performing on the desktops, most of the users these days are using the smart devices and wanted to have most of the work performed on smart devices. That is from an enabled from an UX interface, enabled more with a UX interface, and that is changing. So taking these two primary factors, most of the customers are getting enabled onto the HANA database, taking the features of UX interface and having the system configured in such a way that they can able to perform their activities on the smart devices. To perform the entire activities, there are also additional framework changes happened as part of the SAP's great innovation of SAP HANA, that is the HANA database, which is in-memory database. There are a lot of parallel processing and activities which are happening. Then moving on to the next slide, that's where we have the suite on HANA coming in and getting most of the users implementing it. From the perspective, from the coding perspective, in comparison with the older database and WebDyn Pro activities, how it is working and how it is being performed when it is compared with the HANA system. With the HANA, there is one specific area which is more defined at a database level, so that it enables most of the programmers to make the code simplified rather than rewriting the code for a logic sentencing. That's calculation logic which is maintained at a database layer. So we just call the predefined procedures process so that the activity is happening in memory and then showing up the details. So that's at the semantic layer, and then there are defined OpenSQL statements which are being working to enable this entire activity to happen as a smart way in memory. So that's one more major differentiator from a ABAP code innovation, what SAP has done and rewritten the code for suite for HANA when they have released the product S4 HANA into the market. Moving on to the next slide. Onto the roadmap, there were some customers who were asking me in the last years when the S4 HANA was in the process of release, what is the plan and how it can be implemented and performed. In 2015, from the roadmap, there is two versions which have been released. One is an on-premise version and the other one is with the cloud version. The SAP's main plan and agenda is have the innovation done more in a quarterly fashion and a quarterly manner for the cloud, with a very minor changes which are available at cloud level. Whereas for, and then it is restricted for SAP to perform. If let's say a user has a lot of changes to be performed, then an on-premise edition can be implemented, and there will be an yearly innovation cycle for an on-premise edition, and then that particular innovations can be implemented. Taking an example, Simple Finance, which is released in 2015 as the first innovation as part of the S/4HANA on the on-premise, which is Simple Finance 1.0, and later it has been updated in the yearly cycle as 2.0 for S/4HANA, with also the Simple Logistics, which is promised to release in 2016, and that is released in the first quarter of 2016. So this is the planned roadmap, which is continuing further with a lot of more innovations. Now, a quick question certain customers ask that, is it good for me to go ahead and implement S/4HANA today, or we still wait? As we implement early, you have the adaptability to the new features, new innovations of SAP, and take part into the business much better in a faster way. Is the quick answers what we can see who have already implemented across the globe S/4HANA or Business Suite or powered by HANA. By taking this particular point, moving on to the next slide, there are certain other questions which come up from our previous customers, like how would the framework look like, and what is that it to be implemented when I am already there on the previous version, and how is to be taken. So I just wanted to give a quick update of how we have done for our other customers and how we have updated our other customers and done a hand-holding there for them to move on to the versions of S/4HANA. The high-level framework is defined for the smart devices, the SAP suite on HANA, and more for the smart devices, I would say, but still the legacy applications still work, like the SAP GUI, the web access, Internet Explorer access do work, and the Fiori user experience, the top layer, which helps to have this particular boarding connectivity and working enablement, enables for the smart devices to work on. And Business Suite, SAP Business Suite was released as powered by HANA, which works also for any database, meaning let's say a Business Suite for HANA is defined, powered by HANA is defined for HANA database as well as Oracle and other. But if you want to have full-fledged innovations to work in the manner how SAP is performed, we suggest to go ahead with S/4HANA, Business Suite for HANA, which is defined, recoded, and re-implemented by SAP, I would say, redesigned certain logics and innovations done, simplifications done, as they say, simplified version for S/4HANA, very much works only for HANA. I repeat, it works only for HANA, that is Business Suite for HANA, S/4HANA. And if you want to make use of HANA database and then have the analytic applications also included with HANA database S/4HANA, we join together a layer, and then we have a NetWeaver hubs that is together joined a consolidation form, that is business warehouse together, as well as enterprise portal and process orchestration can be joined together as a single form consolidated system on the HANA database with ABAP and Java stack separated. There's a slight clarification I would like to give as what I discussed with my past customers' questions. Now, there was one question, one of my premium customer who was asking, like, let's say if they already have a BW implemented in their landscape and they wanted to have it migrated onto the S/4HANA from any database, what is the best suggestion? Should they go with an S/4HANA with BW, or should it be separated? Now, it depends how and what is the size of the BW system. That's number one, as answer discussed by the leaders of SAP previously. Let's say if it was a huge BW system, it's good to have implemented a separate system, BW on HANA, so that as a first system where you can have your users and then technical teams have a good hand-holding first implemented with BW and HANA on their landscapes, and then come on to the critical systems, that is ECC, CRM, or any other systems in the landscape, with Simple Finance, Simple Logistics, S/4HANA getting implemented. If the BW system is very small, then you can just have BW together with S4HANA having the necessary corrections done and connections done. And we can help you further when we do more of such assessments in your landscape and give you the details of how and what is the best method for you to get implemented and what is to be implemented and what the roadmap or a path you can take in the next implementation for the next decade is what we can guide you with our expertise and knowledge base what we have. Now, moving on, there is, as I said, on-premise edition as well as a cloud edition. The HANA Cloud Platform is more connected with a lot of other additional features because with the quarterly innovation cycle SAP is performing, there are many more cloud additional applications which can be connected in like Field Glass, GEM, or let's say if you wanted to have Internet of Things, you wanted to have any of success factors which is implemented in cloud get connected with HANA Cloud Platform. And how to implement the cloud platform, the S4HANA on the HANA Cloud Platform, we can get it implemented with SAP support by an RDS methodology if it is a brand, I would say a greenfield implementation. Now, that takes me to the next slide to answer certain other questions. Now, what are the different methods and what is the approach I should take for getting implemented SAP suite on HANA? Now, let's say if these are three typical scenarios what SAP explains and we as the partners or anybody have and follow them and take the approach and do the assessment for our customers and give the best suggestions with the best practices of SAP. Let's say you have a system already in place with Business Suite running on the system and you wanted to get it migrated to S4HANA. That's called as a system conversion where you already have all the key process areas working on your current system. We perform, they're running on any database or meaning any database here, Oracle or IBM DB2 or any other SQL. Then you need to get it to a HANA database, then you can perform a migration methodology and then bring over the system to SAP S4HANA. This is called as a system conversion. Let's say if you are having a greenfield implementation where the changes are very minor, where let's say you think that there are no customizations happening, such kind of things can go onto the cloud version, or else let's say if you want to have full system under your control to do the modifications, the Z customizations for your organization, for your business, you can go it on-premise version as a new implementation, that is a greenfield implementation. And then a landscape transformation, something called as a consolidation of the system also, where let's say you have multiple systems across locations and you wanted to perform a consolidation, certain systems running on HANA database, certain systems running on not any other database, want to bring them under the roof of S4HANA under one database. This is possible at this particular stage, getting everything under S4HANA by using different tools, different methodology, different process. And we can further help you on this particular step while we perform the assessment of your existing landscape. So while I say that you can perform the migration in each of these particular methods, each of these particular phases or these particular steps, what are the prerequisites that one should have met to make use of this, the SAP's great innovation, that is S4HANA or Business Suite on HANA? Let's say if you are migrating your existing ECC ERP system, if you are less than PHP 7, you have to get the system onto EHP 7 first and then have the system tested, performed with the prerequisites all checked, and then you get it onto the ERP on HANA, that is, you perform a migration. And from there, you can migrate it onto the S4HANA. This is a classical methodology. I'll discuss more in the next slides on the classical methodology and other options available. And then you can get the Simple Finance, the later version implemented and have the full-fledged utilization done, which is a default option, as I said. For a new implementations, you can directly use the S4HANA, the latest version, with Simple Finance, Simple Logistics implemented. These are the prerequisites for ECC system. And let's say if you're trying to migrate a BW system, if you are less than SP05, and then you have to get SP05 updated, the version SP0 minimum SP05 updated on your BW system. And you have a dual landscape still, you have to get the dual landscape split, Java stack and the web stack, and then migrate onto BW on HANA. If you are on Oracle version, which is less than 11.2 or IBM DB2 less than 9.7, these are the database versions which you have to get them upgraded to the required version before you perform any migration. Dependent and independent components of database are also given for just as an information, which will get updated from SAP before the migration happens. So this is on BW and ECC on a very high level. What are the prerequisites? Certain customers who have approached us for a quick sizing for one of our long-term support customer, we have already performed the sizing for them for the HANA. There are different methods which can be performed. The default method, which is SAP's cell phone default process, that is SAP's quick sizer. This quick sizing tool still gets applied. There is a methodology process calculation by a formula which we can use and perform the quick sizing of a system, and then let the customer know what is the hardware required to get full benefit of in-memory database and get the benefit of the new innovation of SAP that is running the ECC or Business Suite on HANA Business Suite on HANA or Business Suite for HANA. And then the T-shirt model, the other model is the T-shirt model where we have the calculations done and then perform the activity. BW on HANA sizing is much elevated, I would say, by additional tools given by SAP. There are certain reports which we can run and have the BW on HANA, the sizing can be done. And also for ECC, there are certain other reports which can be run. We can make use of the SAP's default reports and get onto the sizing tools and have the system defined, the hardware sizing defined. This is the prerequisite to get full benefit of the SAP's new innovation, because the most important thing is the hardware for us to get the full benefit of Business Suite powered by HANA or Business Suite for HANA. And then coming on to the analysis from ABAP code and the routine analysis, I've just depicted certain screens from a migration cockpit which is defined for SAP S4HANA. I would say the BW cockpit, this is defined for a BW cockpit. There are certain housekeeping jobs which have to be performed before even the migration starts, even whether you take it for an ECC or a BW. But when you make use of a cockpit, you can have the defined jobs which are to be maintained, the housekeeping jobs, which have to be performed, the table space code and everything, which is already given as a template in the system as a migration cockpit for BW. For ECC, we already have a prerequisite best practice guides which we follow, and we perform these particular activities as we have performed for other customers. Code review, let's say if the code is optimized for the S4HANA or it has to get optimized, can be used with the default tools from the migration cockpit for BW, and for the other ECC or any other version, we can make use of the code analyzer, certain other tools and other process by which we will know what code needs to be further optimized to. We can have the other tools which are available in the market to get the code analysis done. It all depends on the requirement and the size and what to be performed. It all comes through during the process of the system landscape assessment when we're doing with our customers. That's about the Suite on HANA migration cockpit and the code analysis. Moving on, the actual step comes into the picture. That's migration of the existing previous database, previous system to SAP Suite on HANA or S4HANA system. It is broadly defined, classified into two different methods what we can opt for, a classical method and a DMO, database migration option method. Why and how and which cases apply to classical and which cases apply to a DMO method, I'll further give you the details. A classical migration method, let's say if you already have a system which is non-Unicode system running on any other database, which is having no EHP implemented in there, and which can't be brought over onto the S/4HANA in one step, then you have to take the classical migration. For example, I would say a BW system, let's say if you want to migrate to 7.5 directly from 3X, then you have to go with a classical approach, because the step is, the direct step of a DMO is in still innovations and stabilization more, I would say. And how this works and what is the process it works. You have the existing system with a defined ABAP version or kernel versions, and then we have to update them to a required prerequisite as we discussed, that is EHP 7, and then ABAP 7.4 and kernel 740, and then the system is tested with the enhancements in the classical approach. And then after the system testing and UAT and the things are performed, the next step is to migrate as to the S/4HANA box, and they get it onto the HANA database and perform the optimizations. Now, there are prerequisites which we perform before even the classical approach starts. That is, we do the feasibility check, perform the Unicode conversions onto the HANA database for the HANA database, as well as hardware migration check, and then sizing, and then optimizations for the operating system and the database to get the full benefit of the system before even we migrate on to the next versions. And after the migration is performed, then the post-processing to get the full benefit of the HANA database. When we are performing a classical methodology, it takes 3 steps, and it is more time consuming because we have to have it migrated onto the required prerequisites for HANA step 1, and then have it all tested if the enhancement works, as well as the customer's business case work under enhancement packs. And then this is the entire process chain, how it goes, and additional time consuming, and additional efforts being put in. And then moving on to the HANA database, the second test have to happen. Certain very critical scenarios or a legacy system, certain older versions have to be assessed, and at that case, we go with the classical migration. So moving on to the more user-friendly and SAP promoted version, and what we have adopted for other customers, other situations is database migration option, that is DMO option. In the DMO option, we have the existing system and database wherever it is running, whichever versions it is. The DMO takes care of it to be upgraded to the EHP version as one-step process, and the required prerequisites are met, and then perform the migration to the HANA database. That is, the entire system gets migrated onto the HANA database. This is a one-step quick approach and less risk, I would say. The prerequisites, if they're met, we can go ahead with the DMO, and if it is not met, we have to have checks done and then perform the classical methodology. The prerequisites in comparison with classical migration for DMO are more. We perform additional housekeeping jobs to be taken care, the transports, and many other cases. As a technical perspective, we perform all those particular checks and have the system use the DMO option. Whereas once the DMO option is enabled and then the system is migrated onto the HANA database, we perform the post-processing. For certain versions of SAP, certain SAP systems like CRM, SCM, and BW, PO, there are different templates which have to be used for the post-processing and have the systems ready, available, optimized after the post-processing is done, and then system is ready to take the full benefit of the HANA database and a smarter innovation of SAP Suite on HANA or S/4HANA. On a very high level, how the DMO happens, it is called an in-place upgrade. As a step 1, as you can see on this slide, step 1 where you have your existing system, which is a source kernel, and then you have a repository, your system repository, and then you have an application database or the application data in the traditional database. When we run an in-place upgrade from the SUM tool, then there will be a shadow system which is created, and in the shadow system, the kernel gets upgraded onto the newer version, and then the system will have a shadow repository created for the existing repository. The required objects, repository objects get updated, which are more consistent and ready for the HANA database. And then the target repository gets copied over from the shadow repository. The target repository gets copied onto the HANA hardware, keep it and have it consistent. It all happens in the uptime phase. There are two phases here, a downtime and an uptime phase. The step one, shadow kernel and shadow repository happens during the uptime. Everything gets ready, and then during the downtime, the copy happens, the target repository application data, and finally the shadow kernel gets copied over onto the target kernel that is on the HANA database, and the application server is ready with the HANA database to run. And on overall, the downtime is less when compared to the uptime, when compared to the classical migration, in comparison with classical migration in the database migration option with this additional feature. And this tool is default, SAP's tool, what we use and make use of it and perform the migrations. That's how the DMO technique works, and the entire switch of the system happens in a much better way. One benefit, additional benefit what we have is, let's say we have migrated and then we found the system is not very stable during our cutover check activities, then we have the original system still available. There is no need you to perform any recovery of the database of your any database or your old system. So we just turn off the new HANA migrated system and make use of the existing system. That's how the DMO in place technique happens, the migration happens, and an upgrade happens, and we are directly onto the HANA database with the SAP's default tool from one-step process. Moving on, let's say there was certain customers who are checking, like let's say if they have not implemented SAP and they wanted to go with the a greenfield implementation as for HANA from a legacy legacy database or legacy system. Yes, we can use SAP data services which is available, and then we can perform with the support of SAP to perform the legacy database migrations. This is a high-level typical step scenario, how it happens. You have a legacy system working in different modes, your applications, cloud, database, or flat files. You have the profiling and then extracting and profiling methodology, that is through cleansing and transforming, validating, and then reconciliation of the entire data that is happening at the staging area of SAP's data services server. And then we have it moved to the SAP's configurations. Then the SAP configuration on a HANA database, step 4, it checks what configurations are done and what data can be captured or taken from the staging area, or what has to be pumped into the staging area from SAP to have the connectivity established from SAP. And from there, the data is sent through an IDOC to the SAP system, and then reconciliation of the entire data happens. And then the performance and optimizations with the dashboards is available at the target environment with a greenfield from a legacy system. The data migration happens. This is the migration at a glance for a greenfield implementation from a legacy data. So that's about the suite on HANA, how it is performed, and then what are the benefits we can take with suite of HANA and with a smarter innovation of SAP. Moving on to the success stories of what we have already implemented. This is one of a very big customer in United States where we have 100+ employees for this particular customer where we have implemented IS oil and sales distribution, maintenance, plant maintenance, project system. This is a sidecar implementation, what we have done as for HANA successfully. And the system is currently with all the users up and running. They are taking benefit of smart devices to perform certain activities, and more is getting performed for this particular customer. Moving on to the next case study, this is about a pharmaceutical company with 50+ employees who have implemented what we have implemented here are the order processing, accuracy, and many other key process areas in just 8 weeks. And then they are in the process of making use of the mobility feature on the older versions and planning to have it migrated onto the business suite of HANA in near future. So we are in communications, and we are trying to see at the best step where they can get migrated to. This is about our implementations, our success stories, and about coming on to our capabilities, what we have done in the past. We have migrated ECC 1 terabyte system to S/4HANA as a sidecar implementation within 6 weeks. It's a new implementation, I would say, for a 4-system landscape. PI ABAP plus Java, PI HANA, which is implemented on Java, and we migrated. We have done the sidecar implementation 4 weeks for a 3-system landscape, and then GRC 10.1 with CUA, which is having. But when we migrated to HANA, we've done a flash sidecar implementation and then a 2-system landscape in few weeks. It depends on the assessment, what they have, what they wanted to implement. They were on a very big, and then they wanted to have a fresh implementation, so we just went through. That's about the implementation. Coming on to the ABAP, we have enhancements, forms, interfaces, reports, conversions, workflows, and the objects what we have migrated onto the HANA. You can see the number, how we have migrated the number, and what objects we have performed as part of the migration, and then getting certain objects recovered, activated for the user access. Functional key areas which have been implemented on HANA from an FI, CO, project systems, material management, sales and distribution, plant maintenance, ISIL, TMW, and TD. So these are the key process areas what we got implemented. Our key successful experts have implemented as part of HANA capabilities and implementations. Mobility perspective, transactional, fact sheets, analytics, Webdinpro, Floor Plan Manager, and SAP Personalize. These are the total apps, as you can see, from different modules which are already available at SAP. What we have done is we have brought these particular apps, and in connection with the requirement, what our customers were looking for, we have made the certain enhancements, certain extendability to the existing apps, and finally got them implemented and had the customer make use of the smart feature on the system. That is making use of the new apps and performing on the existing system from a mobility perspective. So that's the number of transactional apps what we have extended or implemented, 80 plus apps. Fact sheets around 60 fact sheets where we have done from different modules, MM, LTPM. 40 plus apps in relation to analytics in relation to FI, SDMM, and then from on Webdinpro and Personalize, you can see the. So in general, as part of the assessment, we go ahead and understand what is the requirement. Apart from these, not just on HANA, we have also implemented certain mobility apps for non-HANA database, let's say any database, and if you are running a business suite on any other database or ECC on any other database, we are experts on those particular things. Moving on to the next slide, what capabilities Wisemen have from a functional and a technical expertise. A quick glimpse, what we have done, what we have, and what our practice is for. We have all the experts from any vertical, you name it, we have it, and we can support any different requirements of our customers. We can have SCM, we have MM, EWM, HANA, GRC, SAP basis, PUBG, whatever. And we have all the experts, and we can perform a quick support and give the best of the implementation support. Coming on to the basis, we have expertise under the architecture management. We can give you design and develop what is the best architecture you can use, a 2-system or a 3-system landscape, and how can it be done on a Unix or Linux, whichever. And we can help you to split the Java ABAP systems, the dual stack systems, GRC or general security maintenance. We are experts in implementation migration options and support services, database management, as well as, let's say, if you're looking for an implementation and a support operations experiences, we have a great relationship with SAP. For one of our customers where they were stuck with one of the product and they had to have a quick solution, we went across and spoke to SAP and got the priority note released for customer, and later it is released onto the market. So that's the best relationship what we have and how we work with SAP and get the solution done for our customers. And not just SAP, let's say if you're looking for non-SAP support, let's say if you're looking for OS or network or any other support that is engineering and technical support, a project maintenance plan, or any other support, we're there to help you apart from the SAP implementations, not just SAP support from basis point. So, and how we operate and how we perform the entire operating model from Wisemen. We have a customer and Spark who coordinates with our project manager, and then the project manager coordinates with our SME pool, and then the functional consultants who are on-site, or technical consultants, functional consultants are offshore, and the offshore delivery managers speak to the project manager on-site, and then on-site Spark, and the entire delivery is taken care of with the utmost governance model. So this is at a very high level how we perform and operate. Just to give you a quick glimpse how we are connected and working and delivering our successful projects all across. So that's about SAP suite on HANA, S4 HANA, how different customers have already enabled and implemented and making use of a single in-memory platform for smart business, what they're performing and delivering a quick delivery to their end customers and end users. That's all from my side, and I can open the floor for a quick question and answers. Thank you.
Thanks, Raj. Now I will unmute the line for Q&A. Please feel free to ask Raj any questions related to today's webinar.
Hello, Raj.
Yeah.
The other issue is you complete everything.
Hi, this is Vijay Purushothaman.
Between the two, I could fit everything.
So I have a lot of background voice, but I'll try to get your question. Yes, please.
I have some questions regarding the HANA database. Like you said, if we have a very large BW environment, we need to have two different HANA, one for BW and one for analytics.
Yeah, the Procade would not work with Procade.
I get your question. If you have a very big, huge database for a BW, are you asking should we separate from an ECC system the BW system? Is that your question, please?
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. Let's say if you have a very big system, I would suggest, with our SAP leadership team who have also suggested, to go with a BW separate implementation, because you make use of a full memory for the BW analytics. So you have, if you get it combined with ECC, the overall performances for ECC will be less, and the results will be different. So for a big, huge landscape or huge size of an BW system, better implemented as a separate landscape.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Confusing. It is right, though. I have to trust the fact that I was confused. Well, I was looking at like.
Are there any other questions? And I would request people to please announce their name and the company they are representing. Raj, in the meanwhile, I have a question on the chat. How does it work with Bob ETL tables and HANA platforms? So,
Pardon me? Can you repeat the question?
Okay, what I'll do, I'll send you this question over the chat so you can have a look. Okay, Raj, I've sent you this question over the chat.
Yeah. How does it work with Bob BOBI, ETL tables, and HANA platforms. Okay, you have the data services, the SAP data services as I was sharing in. So we can make use of the data services, and then the data services you can have the required cleansing and the profiling of the methodology, the ETL methodology. It's a data services is more as an ETL tool, and we can make use of that particular tool to perform the table combinations, and then have the system more configured.
Here there is another question.
Okay.
Can we use a combination of tables and HANA and Bob J Universe?
The question is a bit vague. I wanted to have slightly more details. Sorry for that. Combination of tables in the sense, what do you mean by a combination of the tables? Like, what is your requirement? If you can, maybe if you can write more in detail, we can get back to you by an email. What is your requirements and combination of tables and HANA? What is the requirement like?
Raj, it's Oracle platform.
Okay.
Okay, so let's take this question offline. We will connect with the person directly.
It'll be helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. So any other questions related to today's webinar to our speaker?
I have a question. My name is Rick Monroe from Liberty Mutual. Regarding our custom ABAP programs, are there any, I understand that the migration path going from HANA and then further into S4 HANA, are there any, will our custom ABAP programs need adjustment to go to S4 HANA as opposed to just plain HANA?
Yes, that's required. Let's say if you want to make use of the SOUP for HANA, there are additional code changes which have to be optimized, have to be performed, and we can use different available tools or a code check, validation tools, code analyzers to know which specific code from your existing objects have to be changed to get the full benefit of the new innovation SOUP for HANA. That's very much required. For Powered by HANA, you can still run your old objects on the Powered by HANA system when you are migrating onto the HANA database, but you will not get the full benefit how it should work on the HANA till you have this optimization performed. So hope I answered your question.
You did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. If we do not have any other question, then I would like to welcome your questions and comments on this topic as well as other inquiries. On behalf of Wisemen team, I would like to thank you for joining us and taking time to view the presentation. Thank you again all and have a great rest of the day.